Hi, and welcome to the first edition of Highly Effective PE with Lynns. My name is Lynn Heffley. I'm a physical education teacher at Southdown Primary School in Huntington, New York. I'm also the elementary physical education vice president for the Suffolk Zone, which is a part of the New York State AFERD system. And I'm the president and founder of Leap Incorporated. I write children's books to introduce physical education lessons. And this is...
Hi, I'm Lynn Burrows, and I also am an elementary physical education teacher. And I teach in the mountains of Colorado in a little elementary school, Fraser Valley Elementary School. And I just recently was awarded Colorado Elementary PE Teacher of the Year, which is a huge honor I'm so thrilled about. And I blog at lovepe.me.
Okay, so Lynn and I, we met on Twitter and realized that we have a lot in common. And after seeing other people do these Google Hangouts, we thought that we might have something to contribute to the Physical Education Society. We decided that the goals for our video cast are that we want to contribute to the transformation of physical education into the 21st century, and we would like to inspire PE teachers to reflect on current practices. So we're going to start off by going through our goals for the school year, and maybe people would benefit from hearing our goals. Lynn, do you want to go first?
Sure. So at the start of every year, I always ask my students to write goals, primarily around their fitness testing. And I think it's a good practice as a teacher for us to write goals. And now with our evaluation, of course, we're required to. I have what I feel like is a pretty lofty goal. In Colorado, we have a new curriculum. And with that curriculum, I spent the summer writing kind of matching formative assessments and summative assessments. And so my goal this year is going to be to try to implement that curriculum with fidelity. And I think my biggest challenge with it is that the curriculum is different K-5. So I typically teach a pretty similar lesson K1, 2, and then a pretty similar lesson 3, 4, 5, and just adjust it for the evidence outcomes. And this curriculum is a little bit different than that. I think it's going to require a little bit more shifting. So yeah, that's my goal.
I can relate to the fact that changing curriculum, like we only have 2 minutes between class periods. So if you're changing entire curriculum, are you, like, we have K to 4, so we might be doing kicking and soccer skills so that the same equipment's there, but then are you changing completely?
Well, I spent on Monday, so we had that in-service, prep week last week, and I spent last week kind of figuring out how it's in like units. So everybody starts the year kind of with beginning of the year expectations, kind of setting up for success. So I'm thinking a lot of the activities I do are going to be the same. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to do a whole different gym setup because we do not have it. School lives on nanoseconds, and this nanosecond that one class is leaving, the other one didn't. And so, yeah, I definitely don't have time to switch the setup, and yeah, I'm not sure of the challenges yet, not having been there. But those days of big setup where like all the equipment is out and everything is happening, that's definitely going to have to be the same all day. And then I'll just have to work the expectations or whatever it is I'm teaching kind of into that activity.
Can I ask you too about assessment? Do you how often during a unit do you assess, and like how many skills are you planning on to to assess in each unit?
The way the curriculum is written is there's, depending on the unit, there's, you know, gosh, up to like 12 of those little evidence outcomes, and some of them are super specific and some of them are not. And again, the units vary in length. Like this, this first kind of setting up expectations in the gym, that's a pretty short unit for most of the classes. And so the assessments are divided up into little formative assessments, you know, where the kids are doing exit slips, they're giving me a thumbs up, they're doing a think, pair, share, we're doing a Venn diagram up on the whiteboard. And the summative assessment is, this is a little bit different from last year. Last year I tried to record everything. I tried to just notate what they did on every little detail, and that's not my goal this year. I'm going to try to just use that formative assessment to make notes. Yeah, we need more time, or this kid needs more time, or yes, they've got it. And then the summative assessment is more of like a performance assessment, so there'll be one of those for each unit. And for most of the grades, there's only 4 or 5 units per year. So I think that part is going to be really manageable. The assessments, though, are bigger than what I'm used to doing. I'm used to doing those little tiny assessments and kind of counting that. And these assessments feel like they're going to maybe take some more time.
Oh, yeah, that sounds really new and interesting. Are you going to be? I know you run a blog. It would be great if you know, you blogged about some of the assessments throughout the year so that we could see how they're going, and I'm sure we'll talk about them later on, but to see a visual of the assessments would be great.
Yeah, I have that. I might put it up. I have a rough draft in, I don't know if you're familiar with the program Live Binder. I absolutely love that program because it's organizing all my thoughts. So I'll put a link on my blog to that because it includes K-5, every unit, every outcome, and what my plans are for assessing. Like I said, it's a rough draft. I think it's going to be a living document that I'll try something, it'll work or it'll not work, and I'll have to change it. So
that'd be great. I would love to see that. I feel like we're all floundering with assessment, and now, you know, it's such a big part of what we do now that it would be great to have somebody to bounce things off of. So that's great.
Absolutely.
All right. So maybe I'll tell you my first goal.
Yes.
One of in our APPR, we use the Danielson Rubricon, and one of the categories is communicating with students and parents. And I always feel with both students and parents that I struggle because we team teach, so we have 2 classes in the gymnasium. So sometimes there's so many kids that to get to know each individual, I feel like I'm not doing as great of a job getting to know the students. And parents have always been, you know, a tough thing for me. So one of the things that I started last year is we have an e-board. It's kind of like a website for schools. And I started a website that the children go on, usually my 3rd and 4th graders, and they go on and they answer questions and they follow the calendar, and they can post questions or comments to me too, so we can kind of communicate when we're out of school. And I think it's been great because it has them thinking about phys ed when they're not in school. So we had a lot of success with that last year. And
can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
I'm so curious about that because I've been on your website and it's so fantastic. I can't believe that I've looked at your calendar, and for every single day those kids can go on there and have some sort of interaction with that calendar, either doing an activity or reading a story and commenting. Like how in order for you to have put that much work into it, because it's so encompassing, you must have a lot of kids that go on there. So is there a way that you can measure like how many kids are going on there and what kind of effect you're having?
There is a settings bar that I can see how many visits I have.
Okay.
So I can tell that I think last year we had 1,200 visits in the year.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty excited about it, and we really didn't get it up and going until like October, November. But what they're doing, a lot of the kids are going at when the indoor recess starts because, you know, when they can't go outside, they're looking for things to do, and they'll go on the site during indoor recess to answer a question. What I do, we have a question of the week, and every Monday they go on and they answer the question of the week. And then everybody that answered the question correctly, their name goes in a hat on the Friday, and we pull out a winner, and they get some kind of. I just bought 144 Super Bowls from, you know, one of the catalogs, so they get some little trinket, or I put them up on the. I make their picture into a large, life-size caricature of themselves doing some activity, and I post it on our wall. So we have a wall of champs, and so if they win, they get to go up on the wall of champs, and I put the cues for a skill with them doing it. So there's an incentive for them to go on.
That is brilliant. I'm going to make a note about the life-size child. I love that. And yeah, my kids love Super Bowls.
Yeah, they're inexpensive, and the way, if you go on my website, I did under bulletin boards, you'll see how to make the life-size characters. I use a PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, Excel document to make, so you can drag it to be the life-size. But I suggest that don't use color ink. Have them wear white and color it in with crayons after, because it takes so much ink.
Good point.
So this year, like I said, I want to try to get parents involved. So what I'm going to do for back to school night is I'm going to go to Staples and I'm going to make business cards on my computer, and on the business card will have my contact information and my website, but it'll also have a QR code so that they can just scan the QR code and it'll take them right to the website. I'm hoping by doing that not only parents will go, but that a lot of our students, because we're such a diverse population, don't have computers at home. But I think a lot of their parents still might have an iPhone. Mm-hmm. And they'll be able to access the website on the iPhone through with a QR code. So I'm trying to make it easier for all of our kids, hopefully. So that's my communicating with parents goal.
I love that idea of doing the business card with a QR code. In fact, since we talked, I've been kind of thinking I might, I don't know that I've done a great job communicating to parents how different PE is from their experience, and I guess I've kind of relied on their kids telling them, you know, all these super cool things that we do, and I get feedback on that, but I still think there's a population of parents out there that I haven't reached because they're viewing PE, they're viewing like what their kids are saying to them through their experience. And so if their kids talk about, you know, that we're throwing these foam balls, I'm thinking that they're hearing dodgeball, or if they hear that we're doing fitness testing, they're picturing the old, you know, one kid at a time hanging on the chin-up bar. When you talked about that, it inspired me. So I need to, I'm gonna take that on as well, as to try to get that communication out to parents about how different it is. Do you ever invite parents into your PE classes? Have you tried that before?
I haven't. When I was at the National PE Institute, Jim DeLine talked about each week he invited parents in, and you know, gave them a responsibility and a job in the gymnasium. I gotta say, I would love to, but I'm very nervous about that. I think it's a great idea because, like you said, we need to get parents to see us as different, and I don't think we as a profession are doing a great job of that. And the difference I want to try to get across to kids and parents now is, what are we learning in PE today, not what are we playing in PE today? What are we playing in gym today?
Right, right. Yeah, that's huge. And I have invited parents in, and I want to say with some success, but it makes me so nervous when I know I don't ask that they tell me they're coming or anything, and so sometimes I just have parents that show up and they say, oh, Billy wanted me to join him today, and he said that was cool, and I've seen your notes, and so here I am. And then I think, oh, I don't know if this is the lesson I want them to be here for. I feel like if I knew they were coming, I could put on a little bit of a dog and pony show, and yet I want it to be authentic. So, yeah, I don't quite have that figured out either.
I know in our district, and I don't think last year we did it, but when I was in a different building, they have a education week where the parents are allowed to come all day long. And I think if we maybe one day a unit or one day a quarter, a semester, to say this is invite parents to PE day, and so that maybe 4 times a year you get parents coming in, over a 2-day, so they can see all the kids in the school.
Right.
Might be an idea, a way to go.
Yeah, I like that. I like that kind of thought. We've done some evening activities, some health fairs, some bring your parents kind of open house activities, but it's not as authentic as a class. And I like that idea. I wrote down Education Week because maybe we could do it during that week in the spring, that physical activity week. I can't think of what it's called. It's something through SHAPE. So maybe that's an idea. Anyway, I think your ideas of doing the business card with the QR code is brilliant.
Thanks. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm pretty excited of getting my logo together and figuring out. But here's what I want to ask you: how do you communicate with parents? Because I know some people don't like parents to email them, and I kind of like the email system. I do pick up the phone if there's a problem, and I try to pick up the phone like if somebody does a really good job of something. But how do you communicate with them?
I work in that super art teacher and music teacher, and so for starters, just kind of big picture, we do our own report card, and on our report card, we kind of go over what we've covered that we do it semester, what we've done that semester, and then really specific on skills, not these generalizations, sportsmanship, participation. It's really specific on skills. And so we can give individual feedback on that report card. Where on our regular class report card, there wasn't room to do that. But then I found that I think it's important for kids to know their parent's cell phone number. And so a lot of times during class, I'll just have my phone or I'll have the iPad, and I will videotape for like 6 seconds what they're doing. And I'm talking maybe, this might happen for a kid once a year or twice a year. Or I'll videotape what they're doing. Maybe they're doing a little partner dance or a little partner routine, or maybe they've just mastered some skill, and I'll videotape them for 6 seconds, and I'll text that to their parent. And it's always like, if you know your parents' phone number, I'm happy to text it to their phone, and I just send it as an attachment, and I've gotten fantastic feedback from parents. And kids, will say, oh, can you send this to my parents? And then they'll give me their student number or their lunch count number, and their parents won't get it, and they'll say, oh, they'll come in the next day, do you still have that video? Because I learned my parents' number, and I can send it to them now. So that's primarily it. And I'm in such a tiny community. I know it's hard. You have such a huge population, and it's hard to imagine, but I typically cannot go anywhere in this community without seeing many students. So if I go to our rec center, there's classes going on there, and there might be up to 30 of my students that I'm going to interact with when I'm there to work out. And of course, the grocery store, or to go anywhere, I drive past a sporting field, and there's typically some sort of youth sport going on there, so I'll stop and watch them. It's a very small Americana. community. So.
Yeah, that definitely sounds different than from where I'm at, because I can't even imagine giving my cell phone number out to my parents. You know, like,
Right.
I tried to do a similar thing through Coach's Eye, because you can videotape through Coach's Eye and send it through an email. Use your email address to send it to the parent's phone. So I tried to do that, but there were so many glitches with Coach's Eye that it made it very difficult for me.
Yeah, and there are some programs, I've seen some programs where parents have to subscribe to it, and honestly, You're
breaking up a little bit.
Try the email. I just want time to go back at the end of the day and do the text.
Yeah, I guess you just got to find out what works. Like, I have a hard time keeping up with doing the communication the way it should be done. But that's my goal. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll check back in on it. Did we want to talk about, I know the one other thing that I'm trying to work on is technology. And I told you this before, that I'm like very frustrated with technology, and trying to find things that are good for kindergarten to fourth grade is frustrating. There's, you know, a lot of stuff for the older students, but other than the move bands that I'm hoping to use this year more of, I really haven't found a lot of technology that works for me. Do you have any suggestions?
I think a big thing is knowing. I've been thinking about this recently. Knowing the technology well enough so that you're not trialing it with the students, because to me that's a sure fail. If I don't know exactly how something works. But the other thing is kind of taking it through that filter. Like, is it really enhancing their learning experience and making it and increasing achievement, or is it just a gimmick? And then, or is it making my job more effective, or making it a little bit more streamlined? Because otherwise, I end up just bagging it. So yeah, some things work. I know my kids, when we don't have the move bands, we use the step counters, and they love those step counters. They love them, and it was I want to say, with the step counters, it was probably for them to learn how to use them. You know, they have to figure out how to get them on their belt, and we use ones that that have to click open, and that was a thing. And I did use them K-5 last year, but it was a learning process, and it wasn't. It took a number of classes just to get the system kind of down and get a system that worked for me, as far as, like, how do I hand them out, or how do they pick them up, and then how do I collect them back? That kind of stuff. I know it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but if it doesn't work, then it's like, oh, I don't want to ever do this again. So.
I totally understand that. I am very frustrated when transitions are not structured and easy, because that's when kids fool around if your transitions aren't good. So, working that out. But the move band, I like the steps and the move bands. One of the things I saw recently was having the kids in teams and having them try to achieve a number of steps together. So I liked that, because it wasn't just me. You were working as a team, and then they have to add up all of their numbers together, which I've become, pretty involved in getting the Common Core to work within physical education, using it to teach physical education, not to teach math. So I thought that was a really great idea for incorporating, a math concept, but having it physically appropriate.
Yeah, when we used the step counters last year, we spent a lot of time just on. I can't totally remember. I want to say 1 or 2 days on, this is how you wear them. Let's check our steps. Let's make sure we have more. We did some estimating. How many steps do you think we're going to have in 5 minutes? How many do you think we're going to have by the end of the class? I asked kids, how many do you think I'm going to have? And so we did some predicting, we did some estimating, and for my students who actually score super high in math, just reading that number, reading how many steps they had, that was a big deal. So just having them at the end of class tell me how many steps they had, that was a learning experience. You're right about the transitions. We had to have a system on how to clear, it took a lesson. Here's how you clear them. Here's how we prepare for the next class. And then using other kids to kind of teach kids that didn't get it the first time.
Yeah, if you put the time in the beginning, then now your kids know how to use it year after year.
Right.
But I kind of felt like I only did it with my 4th grade, so now the 3rd graders coming up don't know how to use them. So I have to figure out how I'm going to get that to work. But I'm definitely going to use them more this year because, like I told you, I want to do with my kids. Ours actually have steps and miles, so I want to see if we can add the miles up and go from New York to Colorado, and then we'll Skype when we get with your class when we get there, and it'll be kind of a really fun activity, I think, for them.
Yeah, I think that's such a great idea. We might have miles. I need to look at them again. I bought a bunch of new ones because, of course, they drop and they break, and they're not that great as far as lasting long. But I really like that idea about using it, like having the kids add up their steps. And the thing I like about it is that it has this added benefit for most kids that if they're waiting at all, even if they're like reading, I used it at one activity where they read like one sentence and then go do that activity, and they have to read it out loud as a group. And even like in that activity, which I wouldn't necessarily say is a stationary activity, just reading it and then going, they're running in place and jumping up and down, and they're like, at every second they can, they're trying to get more activity in. And so it has this added benefit of upping your intensity level of any class.
Yeah, I do like them. So I guess that's, a goal for me to use those more. And the other thing I'm looking at hopefully getting, I don't know, at someday, my wish list is to get a TV mounted or a projector mounted. But like you said, you don't want to break it, and I don't want it to be a fad. I want it to be something I'm actually going to use. So I want to research what I'm going to do with it before I do something like that.
Right. Yeah, and I do use a screen. I just project up on our white wall, and I guess I would say, it's like anything, to see what works and see if it works with your teaching. I do really like to project. I project quite a bit, and I don't have it hooked up to my sound typically. I just project an image. I download a YouTube video. If we're working on overhand throwing, I'll download a YouTube video of some kid pitching or throwing with really good technique, and then loop it, and I'll just have it playing kind of in the background the entire class period. So that my thinking on it is that those kids can attend to maybe 10 different things, and they're going to attend to the directions of what they're supposed to be doing, and they're going to attend to what their friend is doing, and part of them is thinking about who am I going to play with at recess, and maybe some of them are thinking about, I'm kind of hungry right now. But if I can steal a little bit of that focus, and they're getting that really good image in their head, that's my thought on it anyway. Sometimes I use it as a teaching tool, like let's look at the different, let's look at the little cues, and what do you think great throwers do? But I'll keep it looping just so they're seeing that perfect, or not perfect, but that really good image, and it gets in their head. And I don't use any kind of sound with that. That's just playing while class is going on.
I love that idea. I think I'm going to steal that one from you. I have to learn how to download the YouTubes and loop them without having to be connected to the internet. You'll have to maybe send me or blog about it. Do you realize your blog is not up on your 1/3? So you might want to say what your blog site is.
Yeah, I do blog at lovepe.me.
Okay.
So I know it's kind of a weird ending, like it's not com, it's not net, it's it was the available domain name. So it's lovepe.me.
Okay, so everybody should visit there because it's really good blogs. All right, so that's all I have. What do you think? Do we have anything else?
No, I'm amazed, Lynn. Every time I talk to you, I come away with these great ideas and just inspired to go do more. So thank you. I'm really excited about this.
I am so excited that, I guess, first of all, your name, when it popped up, was Lynn. It probably got me to look at your stuff more often because of the name. So, but I'm so happy because I feel like we're on the same plane and we want the same things out of our phys ed programs. So yeah, I love to read your blogs, and now that we've finally met, I'm looking forward to a great relationship. I think we're gonna try to do every month.
That's our plan. Maybe we'll just our rest of our things won't even be able to hold us back, and we'll be more often than that. You're muted.
Oh, thanks. Good luck, and I'll have a great school year, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.